What's up, everybody? We back with another message, another video. Thank you to all my new subscribers and future new subscribers. You know we do nothing here without God because everything is spiritually led by God over here. We cover the world from a spiritual and physical aspect to get the raw, real, and uncut answers. So anything you hear, anything you see in these end times, may you test the spirits, aka take the words and visuals back to prayer with God, as there are many Decepticons running around in these end times sent from the enemy, had a strong, close, and personal relationship with God. Good, great, and awesome. All right, everybody, July 25th, 2024 on a good old Thursday, warning dream / message here. So first things first, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let everybody know I'm not on here to people please. I'm not on here to sugarcoat. I'm not here to tickle any ears. I'm not a bandwagoner, okay? So if that means I'm going to be standing out and looking different because of what the Lord told me, that's fine with me. You understand? Because that's how I've always been. That's how God has called me to be. All right, so if there's any issue with anything you hear, take it back to God in prayer. Simple as that. So we're going to talk about two major things here. One will be a warning dream I received regarding people on these platforms. Like just a major issue. That dream was insane. So we're going to share that. And the second thing is the traps being set with a lot of stuff going on with these words coming out and the situations with orders and all this stuff. We're going to talk about that because the Lord is allowing me to finally speak. And he did say, speak boldly. I said, okay, you ain't got to tell me twice. I'm going to speak along your guidelines and move on from there. So let's start with the dream, okay? So the dream I had earlier this morning, at least one of many, because I had a lot. Basically, this dream started off with me being on a secret mission with a couple of people, and we were on boats leaving the enemy's camp, right? And then I got to my driveway at home. Now, what does this symbolize? That part means simply the Lord will show you what's going on in the enemy's camp so you can come back and warn other people. If that makes sense, pretty simple, right? So the next part of this dream was me being at my house in the driveway, and it was nighttime. And I saw many people that y'all probably were introduced to through transfer videos in the driveway. Now, on the outskirts of things, there was a brother and sister in Christ in a car. And I had this flashlight in my hand, and I flashed it 3 times at them to let them know that I was okay. So that's very symbolic, that part there. That just means the Lord always points me back to Jeremiah 33:3. So he's showing me something. He's giving me the indicator. He indicates in the dreams, I'm showing you something, and the light is the truth. That was all symbolic. Now, continuing with the people on the platforms. So basically, I hear them just talking about certain things, certain events coming up, similar to like people would talk about the transfer. But I just knew that a lot of the stuff was not of the Lord, and it sounded like a major delusion. And people didn't understand that that's what was happening. But they just kept talking, and this is how people on the respective platforms, that's how they speak, that's how they act. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't even want to be here right now. What is this? And then they huddle around together. And after that, the scene transitions. Now, I'm with 2 individuals from that grouping on missions. This one's very symbolic too. I'm on missions. And I see the 2 individuals cutting down witchcraft. And we're outside in the open, in the public, right? Then the scene switches to an enclosed space. It's a little dim and dark. And what I see is this black snake. Big black snake just kind of sitting on the ground. Now it's not looking at me, it's looking at the other person. That person goes to try to attack it like it did the witchcraft, taking it down. but the snake was prepared, latched onto the person's leg and bit the person's leg and wouldn't let go. And I had the knowing once the snake bit that person's leg, they were dead spiritually. I got the sword in my hand and I went over and cut the tail off the back of the snake and it instantly died. So that just showed the authority of the Lord. Don't play over the serpent, no matter where you strike it, you know. So that was very symbolic. In the open, a lot of these individuals are combating against things, right, of the enemy. But then behind the scenes, they aren't really fully protected. And there's something else going on that will cause them to be able to get bitten by the serpent, which could indicate lying spirits, divination, witchcraft, anything. So the scene then switches, and I'm outside with a couple of people. It's like 4 to 5 of us all together. And one of the individuals from the platform, she gives a word. And basically she's telling everybody to go to this island. And everybody's like, okay, we got to go to this island. But me and like 4 other people, we're like looking at each other and we go, no, that don't sound like the Lord. That don't sound right. And all these people went to this island. We don't know what really happened to them. And we're all just in shock and can't believe that all these people just went and that wasn't even of the Lord, not knowing what's going to happen to them. So that was symbolic of a lot of people just following the leader and not testing the spirits on things, which leads to danger, but very few will notice. So after that dream, I really had to just sit there for a minute and process that. And all the faces I saw, like, man, this right here is crazy. There are people that really believe that the Lord is giving them stuff on this platform. And no, the Lord is not allowing me to say names of individuals. His response was because he's already warned quite a bit and people weren't receiving necessarily. And if I do that, a lot of people aren't going to receive this message at hand. So he really doesn't want me to give the names of the individuals. That's why it's always good to seek the Lord on everybody you're watching and test the spirits, because he has talked about a lot of different things, gave a lot of different warnings. So yeah, that's what he told me. I had to sit there and process that. I was like, man, this is really bad. This is really, really bad. People really need to test the spirits. So that was the part number 1 of the dream. Please test the spirits, because now the second part is going to be the warning regarding the transfer. All right, everybody, for part 2, explaining the issues, concerns with the traps the enemy's setting with this transfer stuff and how a lot of people aren't seeing it. Very important. I understand how Jeremiah, Elijah, and Moses all felt. I know Moses' blood pressure was 279. I get why. But, you know, for Jeremiah and Elijah, it's like, dang, do I live in a different world or planet? Like, I know there's other people that notice and see certain things, but you know what I mean? Like, you see something happening and the Lord is giving words, but it's like people aren't trying to heed it or hear it. And that all comes with different factors, right? Not wanting to hear certain things, whatever the case may be. Tickled ears. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to read the community post and just give clarity from there, okay? Keeping it very simple, making my life easier. People, regarding the wealth of the wicked, so the wealth transfer, do not fall for certain setups. The enemy is going to bait so many people because they aren't understanding that faith grants them access. Literally, God is going to move things himself. So understand, a lot of people have fear. I'm going to miss this, or, you know, just want to do all these things, right? But you got to understand, this is a high level piece of responsibility. If you can't discern at that level and identify the traps and seek the Lord and follow protocol properly, then you can't hold it. So it doesn't matter at what state the world is in. God can give you things, anything at any point throughout times in the world. An event doesn't have to happen for the Lord to move. He said, "It's all right, you may say it." Okay. So God is literally going to give people certain instructions and then do things himself. Stuff you wouldn't be able to do without being tracked or targeted. Okay? A lot of people are trying to make it make sense, but it's not going to make sense with how God does it, and it never does. Continuing forward. The Iraqi dinar is an indicator of time financially. If you get that physically, it could make you stand out like a sore thumb. No one is going to have that besides people who research markets, and that isn't a lot of people, okay? So you're going to have to try to convert that, exchange that into something potentially in the midst of chaos. And God is not openly directing people to do that and get targeted. Because you got to, when you do stuff like that, you got to have identification, all that stuff. They got to know who's doing what. Might ask you why you have it. What, where is this coming from? Because that's unusual for somebody in the U.S. to have all that from a area in the world that not a lot of people tend to pick for a travel spot, right? So it's just kind of unusual, and they may ask questions. Unless you served in the military or something, I mean, who's going there, right? You got to be an adventurous person. So to clarify, in the midst of chaos that I put in the community post, during a financially trying time where all these things are happening, people are going to cling to the wealth. So if you're trying to do things during that point, certain institutions may not even be open, right? Certain things may be happening at those times. And the Lord isn't going to send you out to be a sore thumb when all these people are losing everything, right? That's red flag targeting. Now, he could tell certain people about the Iraqi dinar, giving them instructions to maybe do something, if he can trust them to do it properly and they hear him clearly, right? He said it before, and we're going to read the prior words he gave me a couple of days ago. He said he's only giving certain information to people he trusts, right? That he knows aren't going to be sabotaged. So it kind of backs that up a little bit more. So continuing forward, that would just be private instruction for a person who can be trusted to do things properly. Now, here's the deal. Moving on to talking about the orders and the Shiba stuff. That's coming up out of nowhere. God is also not telling people openly about a price point, knowing people already have the wrong heart postures. God can warn of things, but he does it in a way where you don't fully get the full picture. The order cancellations and random small crashes were bait. Satan can manipulate the markets to set traps like he has been doing if God allows him to. So do y'all remember back in March when the Lord was saying, hey, stop paying attention to the markets and focus on him? Remember? That's because Satan was baiting people, but it wasn't as intense of a baiting. And God was seeing what people was going to do. Could the Lord have given people instruction and took advantage of that for the good and glory of God as a blessing? Yes. Only to those that really seek him, maybe, but it was going to be done wisely. But a lot of people got disappointed back in March and was mad. And the Lord kept telling people, don't listen to all this stuff. When people talking about Shiba, ain't nothing happen. It's a trap. It's a bait. But this time, let's talk about this summer where Coinbase and all these other exchanges started to cancel orders. And the Lord had given me that dream and told me to get on and explain to y'all that the enemy is setting up traps and you need to really seek the Lord. The Lord was really upset about people not seeking him. So he's allowing this stuff to happen to teach people a major lesson this time around. So what was one of the major pairs that got canceled? Shiba / USD, CUSD, right? And they claimed it was for book health. That doesn't make any sense. But that's where a lot of people are stationed and positioned, right? Okay, that's a little weird. That's a little strange. Alarm should have been going off. Moving forward, now all of a sudden today, at an alarming rate, people are giving price points for Shiba. Why would God tell somebody and give them a price point knowing how people are not going to test the spirits and listen to the person that they watch, and they're going to walk right into the trap. Why would he do that? All this correcting on heart posture, all this, you really need to seek me. Why would God tempt the child that doesn't have self-control and patience with a price point openly, and it will allow them to go in and fall for that trap? Do y'all not understand when you put the pieces together what's going to happen? Do you realize Satan can cause a fake pump for things, and you could actually get a gain from that? Satan can also give you things for his own reasons and purposes, and people move from one place to another trying to cash out, trying to do this because of their financial situations. They don't ask the Lord, and bam, caught, targeted, whatever Satan is trying to do in full. And please don't tell me they've been looking at our stuff, because they have not been. They didn't start doing this weird stuff until June, until God allowed Satan to do it. So at this point, you need to test the spirits, because the Lord told you a deceitful and lying spirit was roaming around. God is not going to tell y'all open price points, knowing how people act. Our all-knowing Father that we have is not going to do that, knowing how people are going to react and run into the trap. So you need to be really paying attention, because this was just a simple trap. Simple, in plain sight. Simple traps. If you are falling for those and not seeking the Lord, how can you move forward into more advanced things? You think Satan's just going to do little chicken change stuff and be allowed to? The test will become greater with the responsibility. And it's like, it just doesn't seem like people are paying any attention to it at all. And it's in plain sight. Come on, y'all. Come on, come on. People was looking at me like I was crazy when I was trying to explain what God gave me with that dream and stuff. And now you saw all these ripple effects. Now, boom, all of a sudden, price points for Shiba, Iraqi dinar, all this stuff out of nowhere. God is not sitting up here giving an alert radar for incoming transfer and allowing his children to mark themselves, put attention on themselves if something is coming up. Why would he do that? When he's telling us to be a little more silent about things. See, y'all get it. Y'all get it. Because if I keep talking about this, it's going to give me a headache, because I don't understand how people don't see this stuff sometimes. But anyway, God is in control, ladies and gentlemen, in the end. Tests and lessons are going to be given out. We can see what Satan is going to do, but not what God will do, especially when time gets closer. God can tell people to prepare for things and teach lessons, but this is a bit much. Y'all really got to break out of this cycle and understand faith grants you access. Because this trap is in plain sight. And yes, I don't care who you follow. I don't care what accuracy looks like to you. Satan can be accurate and tell you what he's going to do. God allows him to do it. You fall into the trap, and boom, now you got to learn a hard, valuable lesson. And this is why only few can get things at certain points initially. And I do want to read from 2 days ago, the word the Lord had given on to me to give out to all of you, because it does apply to this message today. Real quick, discern between your Father's voice and the traps of the enemy. It is your faith that grants you access. Many of you are making decisions off of urgency, a greater shift incoming. There is information I trust very few with. I would not bait my children into sabotaging themselves by releasing such information. The enemy is watching publicly and has ears in many places. I have warned you all not to idolize the wealth transfer. Many will fall into traps and be baited by the enemy. It is vital that you seek your Father in these days. It is your trust and leadership that will cost you. It is tests and trials, my children. People about to be so mad, y'all, at the end of the day, and pointing at leadership that they follow. But you can't get mad at them. You got to look at yourself, because God kept telling you. But yeah, that's all, y'all. Please seek the Lord and test the spirits, because the Lord told you a spirit of deceit is speaking. It is speaking. How do you discern? You know, people go, how do I test the spirits? How do I do this? How do I do that? Well, you got to sit down and be patient, and can't be saying, oh, I got to pay my bills. I got to do this. I got to do that. I need this to do that. No, you need God, and all other things will be added on to you. That's what you need. So once you build your relationship with the Lord, everything else will follow. And that's all to it, point and blank. And that's all that I'm on here to give y'all. If there's anything else the Father wants to add, if not, he said that is all, my child. All right. Peace and blessings, and I will catch y'all in the next one.